Good evening, everyone.
Good
On
evening.
this occasion of 110 Sunday Sahityak Satsang, I would like to request Dr. Puamma, the event coordinator of this month, to welcome the respected invitees and to introduce the Master of Ceremonies. Please, ma'am.
Okay, thank you. Good evening to all the literary lovers and aspirants. Facilitate to elevate is the single mantra of iSPELL, the Indigenous Society for the Promotion of English Language and Literature, a registered body of which has been striving very hard with deep interest to beat a century playing the literary raga every Sunday, every single Sunday without fail. The Sunday Sahityak Satsang has created a milestone paving the way for literatures with passion and interest to walk the talk throughout. It gives me great pleasure to welcome the designer and promoter of iSPELL, Professor Ghanshyam Sir, the founder and general secretary of iSPELL, the president, vice president, and all the executive members of iSPELL to the 110 Sahityak Satsang. It gives me great pleasure to welcome today's keynote speaker, Mr. C.P. Belliappa, a great writer par excellence. A very warm welcome to you, sir, to the iSPELL platform. A cordial welcome to the chairperson, Dr. Virendra Tharkar, Dr. Archana Singh, the Master of Ceremony, and all the active participants to the 110 Sunday Sahityak Satsang. A warm welcome to one and all present here. Let me introduce the Master of Ceremony, Dr. Archana Singh, to the learned audience. Dr. Archana Singh is an assistant professor heading the Department of English, Bhanu Pratap Dio Government PG College, North Buster, Kankar. She has been teaching English language and literature to undergraduate and postgraduate students for the last 27 years. She has published more than 30 scholarly papers in national and international care-listed UGC and refereed journals. She has also presented papers in various national and international conferences, seminars, and webinars. She has presented a paper in an international conference held in Cape Town, South Africa. She has also prepared a module for ePathashala. Her area of interest is English drama and linguistics. I extend a warm welcome to you, madam. And now the platform is open to Dr. Archana Singh to initiate the program.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Puamma. Thank you for your affectionate introduction. Good evening, everyone virtually present here. It has always been, am I audible?
Yes.
Am I audible? Yes. Good evening, everyone virtually present here. It has always been a great pleasure and honor to be here on the platform of iSPELL. I welcome you all on behalf of iSPELL, which now stands for the Indigenous Society for the Promotion of English Language and Literature. It is a society established with a motto, facilitate to elevate the taste and bliss in the field of English language and literature. Considering emerging trends in the field, it is the need of the hour to blend the trends and mend the minds. iSPELL is people's platform to share and impart expertise of renowned academicians and of its members to the fraternity and the stakeholders. The society believes that one can improve and elevate his or her abilities once opportunities are made available. Potential is always there. The need is to bring it out from the margin to the center. And the forum has effortlessly been striving hard to achieve its motto. The result is that It has 7 state-level forums, and all are doing well in their respective states to facilitate, to elevate. As we all know that we all gathered here on the 110th episode of SSS in the series of scholarly lectures. Today we have with us Honorable Mr. C.P. Belliappa, sir. Sir would like to discuss about the future of English in India in the coming years. And the main points will be discussed here are, will English language survive in India, say after 50 years? Can India do without English? What is the best language formula for India? Is it the 3-language formula? And many more issues to be discussed here. Before I invite Sir for his lecture, I would like to introduce Mr. Belliappa. Mr. C.P. Belliappa, born in 1946, Sir is a chemical engineer with a master's degree from Stevens Institute of Technology, USA. He worked for Indian Oil Corporation, Rallis India, and Humphreys and Glasgow Consultants, which is a UK-based company. He is currently settled in Kurg and manages his coffee estate. Sir is actively involved in educational institutions in Kurg. He was a governing council member of Kaveri Education Society, who managed Kaveri College, Gonikoppal, Kaveri College, Virajpet, and Kaveri Polytechnic, Gonikoppal. Sir is one of the promoter directors of Kurg Institute of Technology, Ponampet, started in 1999. He has been the president of the institution since 2009. Sir is a member of the governing council of Kurg Education Fund, one of the oldest charitable organizations in Kurg that was started in 1864. Sir is known for his writings on issues pertaining to Kurg. Sir is a regular contributor to newspapers such as Deccan Herald, Indian Express, Star of Mysore, and Coffee Land News. Sir also writes a column on the website www.touristinfo.com. Sir has authored 4 books, all published by Rupa Publications: Tale of a Tiger's Tale and Other Yarns from Kurg. And this book is published in 2004. Nuggets from Kurg History, published in 2008. Victoria Goramma, The Lost Princess of Kurg, published in 2009. And this book has also been translated into Kannada. Tongue of the Slip, published in 2013. His 5th book is scheduled to be published in March 2023. And now it's a great pleasure and honor for me to invite a person of such a giant academic stature, respected Belliappa sir, for his scholarly talk. Sir, please.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Dr. Archana Singh. Hello to everyone, all the office bearers of iSPELL and all the viewers. Dr. Virendra Turkar, Dr. Archana Singh, Dr. A.S. Puama. I am very happy to be taking part in this program. It's a wonderful initiative that has been started by iSPELL. And as has been mentioned, the topic I'll be talking about is the future of English in today's context in India. So before I go into the subject, I'd like to just give a brief introduction about the historical background, how English came to India. Of course, this is a well-known fact. We are all familiar with it. But to put things in perspective, I'd like to share a few points regarding the historical context of how English came to India. We all know that it is the East India Company who came to India for trading purpose. And after a few years, their trading interest got transformed to territorial ambitions. And gradually they started acquiring Indian land. And ultimately, they were, by early 1830s, the British East India Company controlled most parts of the Indian subcontinent. Out of these, a majority of the area were princely states. And these princely states could not fight the British, so they swore allegiance to them, and they paid tribute to the British East India Company. By this time, that is early 1830s, the British they had to manage this vast subcontinent, very diverse, with so many different languages and topography, everything. So then they felt it was very difficult to administer this land. So they wanted to, one of the main things that was coming in the way was the language, because we have so many languages in India. So at that point in time, when they were in the early part of 1800s, the language that was being used for administrative purpose in India was Persian. Now, the Persian that was used was not very much different from Hindi that is there in vogue today. And it was also known as Hindustani. And it had a lot of Sanskrit influence as well. So Hindustani was popular more or less in a large part of Indian subcontinent. And even the British used this language through interpreters to communicate with the Indian royals and also the local people. Finally, it was during the tenure of Governor General Lord William Bentinck that the East India Company felt a need to establish English as the link language in India. So they felt that if you popularized English, then they would be able to administer the land better and also take control even more strongly of the whole the country. So in order to formalize the introduction of English, Lord Babington Macaulay, a well-known parliamentarian and a famous lawyer in England, and he was also a well-known historian, he was brought to India in 1834. Macaulay was also given the task of drafting the Indian Penal Code. Now, Macaulay, once he came to India, he made a study of the situation, and he came to the conclusion that the Persian and the Sanskrit languages which were dominating the subcontinent were not really practical languages. So he was highly critical of the Indian education system and the way education was propagated here. And even though he very grudgingly, he appreciated the Indian languages for their deep expression of philosophy and religion. But he was critical that the Indian languages did not promote practical application of science for the betterment of society. Now, Macaulay very openly asserted the superiority of English over the Oriental languages. And he recommended English be introduced without any delay in India. And he wanted the people of the subcontinent taught Western understanding of science and practical application of scientific knowledge. He recommended that students be taught English in school right from the 6th standard onwards, and the medium of instruction should be in English with strong emphasis on science subjects. So Macaulay's strategy And the East India Company's strategy was very straightforward. They wanted to create their cadre of Indians who were proficient in English and Western education, who would serve as intermediaries between the British and the native Indians. In Macaulay's own words, he wanted a new class of persons, Indian in blood and color, but English in taste, in opinions, in morals, and in intellect. To that class, he said, we may leave it to refine the vernacular dialects of the country, to enrich those dialects with terms of science borrowed from the Western nomenclature, and to render them by degrees fit vehicles for conveying knowledge to the great mass of the population. I mean, this was a very strong opinion that he expressed, and I'd like to just repeat it once again. In Macaulay's words, he wanted a new class of persons, Indian in blood and color, but English in taste, in opinions, in morals, and in intellect. To that class, he said, we may leave it to refine the vernacular dialects of the country, to enrich those dialects with terms of science borrowed from the Western nomenclature, and to render them by degrees fit vehicles for conveying knowledge to the great mass of the population. So this was his recommendation, and soon the East India Company started acting on it, and many educational institutions were funded by the company to impart Western education to Indians with English as the medium of instruction. Many Christian missions came in large numbers to start schools and colleges, and within a couple of decades, Macaulay's recommendations generated a good number of Indians who could work for the British in the administration of the subcontinent. Over a period of time, the term Macaulay's children came to be used to refer to people born of Indian ancestry who adopted Western culture as a lifestyle. Well, they were the proverbial brown sahibs that we refer to as. The British euphemistically called their steps to promote English and Western education in India as enlightened self-interest. From the time English was formally introduced in 1834, the language has seeped into the body of India, and by 1947, it had taken firm roots in the body politic of the country. India secured its freedom from the colonial rule, and the colonials left the country in 1947, but their language continues to remain in India and serves as a link language even to this day. Our administrative language, or the medium of instruction, educational institutions, especially higher education and professional and technical fields, are all they all use the English language. In our constitution, written in English, all the major Indian languages have been recognized as official languages. Hindi and English are currently used as link languages for official and administrative requirements. Hindi and English are the languages generally used in our parliament as well. Communication between government and state governments has been mainly in English. In fact, even in the Supreme Court, all transactions are conducted and recorded in English. Nowadays, bilingual communications are also used between union government and the state governments, especially with the South Indian southern states. The point I would like to make is that English as a language is crucial for the administration of India, even today, after 75 years of independence. Yes, it is a foreign language. Yes, it is a colonial language. And the British use the language for their benefit. However, English has had a collateral benefit for Indians. It is the English language which is keeping the link amongst the people of this subcontinent, especially through those in the administration and in economic activities. All Indian languages are also equally rich, but they cannot be used as a link language the way English can be used. Hindi is known to a large percentage of population, but it is not popular, especially in states such as Tamil Nadu, Kerala, West Bengal, and a few others. As we all know, there is strong opposition to the idea of making Hindi as a national language and to the proposal that all the citizens of India should learn Hindi and that English should be eventually replaced by Hindi. Currently, there is an agitation going on in the southern states opposing the enforcement of Hindi on non-Hindi speaking states. The language, as we all know, is a very sensitive issue, and each state is highly protective when it comes to their own mother tongue. Any attempt to impose Hindi at the cost of state languages will be strongly resisted by non-Hindi speaking states. I remember when an attempt was made during Lal Bahadur Shastri's tenure as Prime Minister to make Hindi compulsory in all the schools and colleges across India. I was a student in Chennai at the time, and the whole state of Tamil Nadu erupted in protest. Lal Bahadur Shastri became unpopular in the south. His reputation was restored only after the Indo-Pak War of 1965. It looks like a similar situation is being, developing at the moment. In India, only about 10% of the population, that is about 130 million, know English, while 45% of the population are Hindi speaking. Out of the 130 million people who can understand and know English, it has been estimated that only about 2% of the total population, that is 26 million, who are proficient in the language and speak and write correct grammar. It is a fact that those with good knowledge of English are better equipped to succeed in their careers. English has also helped us in interacting effectively with people from other countries. The huge success of IT industry in India is mainly because of our proficiency in English. Another interesting observation made by journalist Sajid Pai is that there's a small percentage of Indians who converse within the family with their friends and colleagues only in English. Pai calls them a new caste, and he has named this group as Indo-Anglians, as opposed to Anglo-Indians. So he calls this small percentage, which comes to about 1.5 million, as the Indo-Anglians. And these are very well-educated professionals, and they are economically well-off and are not bound by traditional caste and religion. Intercaste marriages are common amongst the Indo-Anglians. They are the upwardly mobile urbanites, and their numbers are increasing. In India today, there is an element of confusion regarding language. Our politicians practice language chauvinism primarily for their own interests to garner votes. It is unfortunate that politics has been brought in this very sensitive area of languages. In fact, it is a fact that politicians who talk the loudest against English send their children to English medium schools. Any attempts to enforce use of Hindi or force South Indian states to learn Hindi will only prove counterproductive. Government needs to be very cautious on the issue of languages. With a wrong language policy, our country is in danger of becoming the proverbial Tower of Babel. Coming to the point of future of English in India, I would say that the future of English and the future of India are closely intertwined. For India to make rapid progress economically, knowledge of English is important and absolutely essential. Many argue that countries such as Japan, China, and South Korea have progressed and have become developed nations without English. They have done this with their own languages. The reason for their success is because they have a single language in their respective countries. And also they are very highly disciplined, and they were able to achieve a great deal of success using their own language and not really depending on English as such. This argument, however, does not apply in India's case because of multiple languages in our country. We need to use English to our advantage, and the time has come for the country to formally accept English as an Indian language. Now, English has been in India for nearly 300 years as of now, even including the 75 years of independence. And so it is a very old, our association with English has been a long one. And we should consider it as an Indian language and not as a colonial or a foreign language. Parents who have the means will always send their children to English medium schools because that's where bright prospects for their wards lie. We need to, however, understand English is a very practical language, and it is not necessarily a superior language compared to our own languages. Our own languages, our regional languages are very rich, and we have wonderful literature from these regional languages, out of regional languages, and there are a lot of them coming out in frequent succession. Well, as far as the language, how do we solve this language issue? I am of the opinion that India should follow the three-language formula that was proposed sometime in the 1960s. As we all know, the three-language formula entails that each state uses their own language for administration, and English and Hindi is these two languages are used as the link languages. As for education, ideally the medium of instruction should be in the local language till the 7th standard, and after that education could continue in the subsequent years under English medium. The state language could continue as the first language, but English should be the medium of instruction. So, and Hindi should be taught as a third language where it is not the language of the state. As for written communication between central government and state governments, it should be in English and Hindi side by side. That is, every communication should be bilingual. One of the objections to the three-language formula by the non-Hindi speaking states is that those from the Hindi speaking areas will have to learn only 2 languages, while the rest will have the burden of learning 3 languages. In my opinion, learning additional languages should be welcomed, as it has been proven that learning more languages sharpens the mind and promotes intelligence in the young. So the people in the South should welcome learning 3 languages, and also people in the North could learn one of the South Indian languages. It will only make the individual richer for the knowledge for having learned another language. It is also important for people from non-Hindi speaking areas to have a good knowledge of Hindi in order to be effective as politicians at national levels. Anyone with political ambition should be fluent in Hindi. In fact, this is proven by quite a few of the prominent politicians from South India who have been very successful. To name a few, P.V. Narasimha Rao as the Prime Minister. He spoke fluent Hindi, and he was also familiar with many other languages. He was a polyglot, including he could speak French, and he was a very effective Prime Minister. We also have politicians, I'm just giving a few examples, such as Subramaniam Swamy, late Anant Kumar, Mallikarjun Kharge, who is likely to become the president of the Congress party, Tejasvi Surya, the young BJP member of parliament, Shashi Tharoor, Jairam Ramesh, all of them from South India, but they are very fluent in Hindi. And it is only these people, these politicians, who will succeed at the national level. So we want participation of both the North Indian politician and the South Indian politician in taking the country forward. So learning Hindi should be welcomed by all the South Indian states, and there should not be opposition just for opposition's sake, and we should be more liberal in thinking about the languages. And as I said, learning another language is only to our advantage. Now, despite our politicians' efforts to downplay the importance of English, the language has flourished and it continues to flourish in India. There are many leading newspapers and magazines published in India, and they have high circulation. We have popular TV channels in English, and India also has produced several well-known authors whose books are popular all over the world. And personally, I have also had some degree of success as a writer in English. When English has so many advantages, multiple advantages, it will be highly unwise to ignore and talk of eliminating the language from India because it is a colonial language. As a nation, we need to dispassionately reconcile to the fact that English as a language is highly relevant to our progress. In fact, our economy depends on English. The time has come for us to accept English as an Indian language. So I would like to conclude with that. And with these few points, I'd like to thank iSPELL for giving me this opportunity to take part in this very interesting program. I thank all the office bearers. Thank you very much.
Dr. Archana ma'am. Please unmute yourself. Ma'am, you are muted.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for your lecture. Now the platform is open for discussion. You can unmute yourself and write your queries in the chat box also, please. If anyone wants to ask a question. Hello. Hello. Am I audible?
Yes, ma'am, you are.
Okay. Hello, can I?
Yes, you are, ma'am.
Can I? Our former Prime Minister, P.V. Narasimha Rao, knew 9 Indian languages and 8 foreign languages, you know.
Right,
So that was an excellent thing. So even I feel that if a person has a capacity to learn and internalize a language, that's wonderful for his overall personality. Why do we pin down on one single language and say that only that language will have to develop? But today, the whole world, that's the fact actually, that English is the language, you know, that can reach out to many people across the country. So therefore, I think English as a language should continue to live. Somewhere I read that in China, a larger section of people speak English. Majority of people speak English in China. So we get a lot of information from the rest of the world, and that is through English. And we can also contribute. We have a lot of original knowledge generating in India itself, and that can go across the world through English. And that's where the pride of India lies. So therefore, I feel strongly that English as a language, which is a long history and has a lot of rich variety in the language. If a person can really get deep into this language, I think there is undoubtedly one can really flourish to an endless limit. So therefore, English as a language should survive and continue, and it cannot die. Whatever political ideas may vary from region to region, so that cannot be taken into consideration when we think of the overall significance. So therefore, I feel that English as a language should continue to flourish in India. That's my point of view, and it's open to the audience to talk about it.
very true.
Yeah, as far as I feel, though it was a fantastic lecture by Dr. C.P. Belliappa, and he has not only elaborated various issues related to English language and also the future of English language in the globe, but at the same time, we do believe that England wanted to flourish, and that's why it's English. And that's why the entire world was dominated by one particular language, which is known as English. And even in the villages also, the people are unable to use the vernacular without English. And if you see, many of the words are from English, and very few words are there from their vernacular languages. So the languages, those who really practice it, they do have English with them. But at the same time, we need to understand one particular thing, that every language has its own significance. And
Yeah.
as far as English is concerned, it has become such a kind of a language in our own country, that too in India, which is known as a multicultural country, which has so many languages, so many traditions, customs, and whatnot. But in that country also, English has gone deep into the psyche of an individual, and it has gone deep into their own way of speaking, their culture. It has entered into their blood also. So that's why, though they do fear of English, but that fear of English has been created by so-called people, those who have spoken English with them in such a way that it has become a kind of a terror language. So there is a time now for all of us, the teachers of English, the practitioners of English, to make the people understand that English could be spoken like their own mother tongue. And that's why there was a wonderful dialogue between Shashi Tharoor and the wife of Narayan Murthy, Sudha Murthy. And Sudha Murthy was telling, see, Shashi, you are writing for the learned few, and I write for the people, those who can understand my language in such a way that they don't feel like they are unable to understand, or they would like to go back into the dictionary to see the meanings. So my meanings are quite familiar to them, and your meanings have become a kind of an ornamental word. So that's what has been said to T.S. Eliot also. When Eliot was asked, your poetry is ununderstandable for a common man, he said, I write for the learned few. So we need to understand this, and the majority has to be taken into consideration whenever we speak as far as a language is concerned. So that's my point of that's my perspective looking at the language. So thank you, sir.
Yeah, I mean, those have been very, very true points that you have made. And as you mentioned, it's not as if English should continue at the cost of our own languages. All of them can flourish. And in fact, since independence, 75 years, we have seen wonderful literature coming from Indians in all the languages. So let us promote all the languages. So every region should their languages should flourish, and for the country as a linked language, as an international language, English should continue, and we should have a good knowledge of English. We should teach our students correct English, and I think that will be a great advantage for us. And if we are going to be looking at becoming a 5 trillion economy, or going to become superpower, all that, English will be absolutely essential for that. It will help us to achieve those goals faster.
Yeah, translation is there. Like, we can translate it into
Correct.
English from the vernacular language. Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah.
Sir, there is a question in the chat box, and the question asked by Dr. Kirti Tiwari ma'am. What challenges did you face when you started writing? How are those challenges different from those faced by the pioneers like Raja Rao, Kamala Das, and others?
Of course, I won't put myself in that in their category. Well, in my case, I mean, I never knew that I could, write as such, and I started in a very, very modest way. I used to write the short articles in newspapers, what we used to call the middle articles. And in fact, even before that, I used to just write letters to the editor. And there were, quite a lot of my letters were published, and that encouraged me. Then I started writing the short articles, then short stories for children. And then I kind of progressed that way. And finally, I was able to write quite a lot of articles in various publications. And then I took on the challenge of writing a book. So it was a gradual kind of progression that I made. The challenges were definitely there. And the main challenge, I think, for a writer is to find a publisher. And So that is the main challenge. And if a publisher accepts your manuscript and encourages you, then of course it's really wonderful. And luckily for me, when I sent my first manuscript, it was rejected by a few. I sent it to a whole lot of publishers, including Rupa Publications. Rupa Publications also said, no, I don't, we are busy. That's the very polite way of saying, we don't have the time to accommodate you. But luckily for me, after about 3 months, they wrote back to me saying, we would like to have a look at your manuscript once again. So that came as a real surprise. Then again, I resubmitted it. Then they accepted it and published it. And that was a real encouragement. And then subsequently, I came out with 3 more books. And the main challenge would be to find a publisher. Of course, nowadays, there are these, what you call as self-publication. So those are also, they are becoming very popular. But only thing is you will have to spend money to get your book published. And, it can be put out for sales and then things like that. So those avenues are also available. And again, the online publications, they are also becoming very popular. So now you have many areas where you can have your books published, your writings published.
Thank you so much, sir. Then I
Welcome.
have one more question. I want your suggestion that some of my PG students want to become creative writers in English. So do you think that the courses on creative writing would help them as a IGNOU course or somebody, and what they should do to groom themselves to become good writers?
Okay. Yeah, I mean, it is, those courses are definitely, they will help. And of course, one of the main things a writer needs to do is to read a lot. In fact, to be a good writer, you should have read a lot. I think that is, the fundamental requirement. So,
And also, I feel that one should be very sensitive to things around them. They must be very observing and, internally dreaming of things that they want to communicate. Probably, I don't know.
Correct. And that's what, in each person, in each area, each locality, there is a story. So you would like to identify that story and then build on it and make it interesting for the reader. You'll have to ultimately think of the reader, the person who is going to be reading it. So you will have to write for the readers. And if you make it something very interesting, something original, a story nobody has heard, then you have a very good chance of getting your manuscript published and becoming accepted for publication and becoming popular. So, but yes, all these writing the classes they have, they will definitely help in those who are really wanting to write. They have that ambition. So these courses will help them. But they should, as I said, they should read a lot.
Right.
And also,
in order to develop competence of language as well as knowledge how others are writing. Right, sir?
Yeah.
Right,
yeah.
sir.
And also, I feel, sir, for a beginner, whatever that thought flows in their mind, whatever time of the day or night, the moment the thought flows, they must start writing.
Exactly.
And then probably over a period of time, they can redo it, look at it,
Correct.
things of
Correct.
That
is very true. And then also, another important thing is people write and they send it for publication to a newspaper, magazine, or even a publisher. And if it is not accepted, you should not get discouraged.
Yeah.
A lot of people give up, saying, oh no, this thing has not been accepted. So they get discouraged and they just give it up. Just keep at it and refine whatever you have written and resubmit. So, it is a process that has to be really worked on.
Yeah.
Exactly. Thank you, madam. Thank you,
Thank-
sir.
Thank you.
Sir, there is one more question in the chat box by B. Patil. Question is, sir, how do you think about Salman Rushdie? Being as writer, he has lost his one eye. Why he has Nobel Prize? Please, could you explain, sir?
The second part I did, the last part of the question I didn't follow. Nobel Prize, you said?
Why he hasn't got Nobel Prize?
Nobel Prize.
Please,
Okay,
could
okay.
you explain, sir? Yes.
No, Salman Rushdie is a wonderful writer. I have read quite a few of his books, and his command over the language is something unparalleled. Great. But only thing is, he writes a lot of abstract things which sometimes are difficult to understand. And you should have read a lot of other writers to understand Salman Rushdie. And yes, he got into a lot of controversy, and he had to live, I think, more than 4 or 5 years underground with an assumed name. He called himself Anton. I forget something Anton, and he was protected by the British police because there was a threat on his life because he wrote something controversial. And yeah, as far as the quality of writing, he definitely, I would say, he definitely deserves a Nobel Prize. And he has such insight into the various aspects of human behavior and human history. He's able to integrate all these and come out with such wonderful writings. And some of his writings are for children. So he's got a range of writing style. And yes, I would say he definitely deserves a Nobel Prize. But then, of course, he's again under a lot of threat. And as you mentioned, recently he got attacked and he's hurt. Well, I hope people look at literature from a positive angle, and such things. The writing should be appreciated and not taken in any offensive way or anything like that. But yes, his quality of his writing is really wonderful.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. One more question is there by Shubhanshi Pandey. As we are ready to accept English, isn't it possible for us to let the world learn different Indian language and do the same?
Yes. The choice of learning a language is always there. Anyone wanting to learn a language can always learn a language, and it will enrich that person. And the world, in fact, there are a lot of people outside the country who are learning Indian languages. I have met a few in England who speak perfect Tamil. In fact, is one person I met a few years ago, and he is so fluent in Tamil and read all the literature. He has spent a lot of time in Tamil Nadu. So there are people who have learned Indian languages. Sanskrit is again a language which a lot of people outside the country make an attempt to learn. Hindi is also a very popular language that people from other countries like to learn. And but the only issue is with English. It is such an universal language, and the literature, there is so much literature available. So urge to learn English is more, because you can read and understand a range of literature that is available, including translations. So, of course, only those who are really interested in learning a different language, yes, I think that is there, and a lot of them are doing it.
Thank you, sir. There is one more question. And the question is by Nagesh. What makes a work good? How would someone know if work is there parameters?
Can
Is
you
there
kindly
any
repeat
parameters?
for what the full?
What makes a work good? Would someone know if their work is good? Is there any parameters?
If their work is good, I didn't get the question.
Is there any parameter? Yes. Is there any parameter for good work?
Of course, parameters for
The internet problem.
yeah,
Good work.
yeah. I didn't get. Can you kindly repeat the question, doctor?
Yes. Sir, what makes a good? How would you know?
Sir, the question is, what makes a work good, and how would someone know if his or her work is good? Is there any parameter for that?
Okay. Well, the the ultimate parameter is how well whatever you have written is received by the readers. That is straight away it shows how how popular or how well your work has been. And I think even a writer, when you write, you will be going over it several times. I mean, that's what I do. You go over it several times, and then every time you go over a manuscript, you change a lot of the way the structuring the sentence and the words used. So it's a question of perfecting whatever you're writing to the best of your ability, and ultimately it has to be published to reach a large number of people. And if it is in the form of something that comes in a newspaper or a magazine or a book. Now, when something is published in a newspaper, it is there for a day normally. In a magazine, it is there for a week or a month. And in a book, it will last for a longer time. So the book has a longer shelf life. So when you write something, from the reaction that you get from your readers, that itself is an indication how well your book is received, and you can gauge, how it is accepted by the reader. Because normally, if your book is really whatever you've written is really good, there will be some kind of a reaction from people, and you will straight away know that you're on the right track. So I think that's what I would like to say.
Should they read the reader response theory, learn something, go with that?
Yeah, beg your pardon?
Should they read about the reader response theory? There is a theory called reader response. I think that may help them to know what book.
But reader response will come only by way of after a person reads it, he has to get back to you, and that is, of course, definitely. But yeah. I don't know the exact formula that your reader response. Is there something like that? I am not aware of that.
There is a reader response theory, like, once your work is published, and then people will respond to it in different ways.
Correct.
And when that discussion, the analysis takes place, one will know where the book stands.
Yes. Very much so. In fact,
if the writing is very ambiguous and it leads to various interpretations, people consider that that's a good work or something of the kind.
Of course, I think all these years it used to be in the academic, in an academic
Yeah.
institution where these debates used to go on. You
Yeah.
take a book and then you discuss about it.
Mm.
Now with the internet and Amazon and all these platforms available,
Yeah.
you get a lot of response. Now
I know.
in Amazon, you get the number of likes, your book, the number of likes that you got, and then there are the readers' comments are there, and
Yeah.
it's read by a large number of people from all over the place. So in fact, the response, the mechanism is much better now.
Yeah. Yeah.
Even
Technology
in
has helped.
Facebook, and even in Facebook, when you write something, you give the link on Facebook, and
Yeah.
immediately you will get to know what people have, whether they've liked it and their comments and things like that.
Yeah.
Thank you, sir. Is there any other question? So now, I would like to give the chairperson of Dr. Virendra Turkar. Dr. Virendra Turkar is working as an assistant professor of English at Yashwantrao Chauhan Arts and Science, affiliated to RT University, Nagpur. He's done MPhil from Guru Hasta Central University in 2007. He completed PhD in 2016 from Tukdoji University, Nagpur, on the study of Ernest Hemingway's fictional world in the light of eco-criticism. He has participated and presented papers in state, national, and international conferences. He has published research papers in reputed peer-reviewed international listed journals and contributed a chapter to a book. He has also worked as a member on an editorial board of an international peer-reviewed journal, Belliappa-The, for the publication of a patient issue. His area of interest is the study of optimism in literary works. He has delivered lectures as a resource person in seminars and also conducted workshops. He is the convener of East Maharashtra Forum of iSPELL, India at present. May I please invite Dr. Turkar to please sum up and put in your valuable remarks on the topic. Sir, please.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Dr. Singh ma'am, for such a wonderful introduction. Firstly, I would like to extend my heartfelt gratitude to Dr. G.A. Ghansham sir, the founder and general secretary of iSPELL India, Dr. Puoma ma'am, the event coordinator of today's program. Salute to the spirit of ma'am. She is just unstoppable. And also to promote Hingde sir. Thank you very much, sir, for giving me such a golden opportunity to chair such an informative session over here delivered by respected CP Belliappa sir. And here I would like to say that my presence over here is the proof of iSPELL India's faith in its motto, facilitate to elevate. We get to witness a rare combination of the experienced ones and the beginners like me over here. There is a very beautiful blend of veterans and newcomers on the platform of iSPELL India, and we can see it, I think, nowhere. So iSPELL India is really a very good platform for the people like us to take up new challenges and to express what is there in our mind. I'm very much fortunate today. I feel honored to be here as a chairperson on today's occasion. The topic was so interesting, the future of English in today's context in India. CP Belliappa sir has delivered a very enlightening lecture on this topic. At the very beginning, we saw he shed some light on the historical background, how English came to India, or the British introduced it to Indians for their personal purpose. They wanted to create a class of the people who would be Indian in blood, but they would serve the British Empire. Whatever. But there is no doubt, because of this language and the education given through this language has brought a big change in our country. We can't deny this fact. Sir also drew attention towards the opposition that our country witnessed when Lal Bahadur Shastri tried to present English in a way, we can say, as a national language. At that time, the people from southern part of our country opposed it strongly. They protested strongly against it. In this regard, I would like to share one experience of my own life. In 2007, when I had gone to Bengaluru today's, to appear in an exam which was conducted by Kendriya Vidyalaya Sanghatan for the posts of postgraduate teachers at central schools. In Bengaluru, I still remember it was at the time of morning at around 8, I think, a.m. I reached the main bus stop of Bengaluru to catch a bus for the exam center. I went near a bus and asked there. There was a conductor. I asked him in Hindi, sir, मुझे इस सेंट्रल स्कूल में जाना है, क्या ये बस वहां जाएंगी? Just this was the question, whether the bus would go to the particular center, exam center. I had to go. I don't know what happened to him. All of a sudden, he started shouting at me. He was waving his hands with rays towards me. I was unable to understand actually what happened exactly. Thank God, one gentleman came forward and he pacified the conductor and told me that, sir, this bus would go to the place you wanted to go. And he asked me to come inside the bus. I went inside the bus and sat just beside that gentleman. He assured me to inform me of my spot as he was going further. In the meantime, I asked him, I'm unable to understand what happened to the conductor. What is the reason behind that conductor's queer conduct towards me? He said me, sir, you asked him in Hindi and he got angry. That day, really, for the first time, I realized that really there is a lot of diversity in our country. There are so many regional languages in our country. Being Hindi-siders, I used to think differently before that occasion, but that occasion changed my mind. We must respect the feelings of the people of the different states in our country. We must respect their feelings also. What they feel, we must take into consideration. We can't think of declaring one particular language as the national language of our country. This thing also I realized. And the second thing I realized that in India, there are such differences. There are such problems in our country. And in this situation, when we go to different parts of country, different people speak different languages. In that condition, there should be one language which should help us to have communication with these people comfortably. And from that point of view, really, we can say English can definitely serve as a link language in our country. We can't deny this fact. This is a reality, sir. The three language formula you advocated and the way you explained it, really it has cleared my mind also. I also now think that there should be this type of formula, that the state language should be the first language, education should be given through English language, and Hindi should be learnt as a second language. So these three language formula can definitely solve our problem. But as you mentioned, there are certain forces in our country which unintentionally create trouble. They create problem, they create issue for the sake of their personal ends. That is, they want to gain the votes in the name of such factions, in the name of such contentions. They want to make their personal benefit, and they create the problem. They excite the people, they provoke the people, and on the other hand, they send their own children to this English schools. They don't want to deprive their children of the importance of English language, but they are misguiding the people just for the sake of their personal, their self-interest. So really, it was very interesting, sir, to listen to you, listen to that from you. And here, one more thing, you talked of that beautiful, that very nice sentence. I think we can follow it as a slogan also, as a punchline also, that future of English and future of India are intertwined. That's so relevant, sir. Today we see that in for as far as commercial field is concerned, in that field also English is dominating, and we need to have the knowledge of English if we want to get job. All over the world, there are 67 countries in which English is recognized as an official language. More than 100 in more than 100 countries, English is used largely, though they have not accepted it as their formal language. Or in any part of the world you go, we see that it is finally English that comes forward to help us to have communication with other people. So this is the fact that we can't deny, and it is good for our economy also. There is no doubt. So broad-mindedly, here we need to think about English language and accept it as a link language. It can definitely connect the people of different states or different countries. We can't deny this fact. So in your talk, during your lecture, we definitely got very good ideas, and so many things that you elucidated were really, they have really changed our mindset. So thank you very much, sir, for your wonderful thoughts. And here, at the same time, I would like to attract the attention of all the viewers to one fact as well, that English is polluting our languages. It is encroaching upon our regional languages or our own language also. You can't see even any single language which is left pure in our country. Even if you look at Hindi language or Kannada language or Tamil language, in all languages we see that people use English words, and there are certain things for which we don't know a word in our own language, and we have to rely on English language. So this encroachment of English language on our language is causing degradation of our own languages also. We can't deny this fact. So both the things are there, but in the light of all these things, we can come to one conclusion, that we can't deny the importance of English language. And in Indian context, we can say, when we look at any child who is doing good in his or her field, seeing him, the parents and teachers say this child has he or she has a bright future. I would say, looking at the need and importance of English language, either in Indian context or in international context, that English has a brighter future. There is no doubt. We can't deny this fact. It has a bright future in India and in all the parts of the world also. So thank you very much, organizers, for giving me this good opportunity to chair this session and listen to CP Belliappa sir and the other interactions that occurred here. Thank you very much for the same. Thank you.
Very grateful to have the session, and also added your own experience. And thank you very much. What I believe, that as a teacher of English, it is our duty to create or to provide an atmosphere to English teachers who are living in rural or backward areas, and students to improve themselves. By creating this forum, Dr. Ghanshyam has proved that actions speak louder than words by bringing people from different directions together to experience something incredibly meaningful. Now, I would like to invite Dr. G. A. Ghanshyam, founder and general secretary of the forum, for the concluding remarks and to present the certificate. Dr. Ghanshyam, please.
Thank you very much, ma'am. Indeed, it's a pleasure listening to CP Belliappa, sir. And I really feel honored that this forum has not only brought the scholars from the globe, but at the same time, it has been bringing the people, those who are not only active, but they are consistently writing, contributing, and they are making the people to know the nuances of the language, to know the literature well, and also to make the people understand that literature is not the thing which has been written, but at the same time, literature is basically a kind of a culture of transmitting the things, writing the things, and making the things available to the future generation. Because until and unless we go on writing, until and unless we go on translating, until and unless we go on making the people understand the things, the literature cannot flourish. And in the same way, CPB sir is doing the same thing. Not only he is contributing, but at the same time he is touching the young minds with the help of various colleges, and he is contributing. At the same time, he is a voracious reader, and now he is available on the platform of iSPELL. And English has brought all these people together on one particular platform, and making this possible could be done only with the help of the people, those who are not only committed, devoted, but they have collaborated, cooperated, and coordinated with the people whomsoever they know quite well. And that's why this Sunday Sahityak Satsang has reached to the level of 110th Sunday Sahityak Satsang without even a break. We started during the pandemic, and now it has become pan-academic for us. And every single Sunday is being devoted to a new chapter, a new thought, a new idea, a new theme, and a new discussion. And in this way, iSPELL is progressing with the help of various other states which are contributing with us. So thank you very much, sir, for doing the honors on the platform of iSPELL. Indeed, it's a pleasure to have you, and it shows that how young you are till today, and you are not only challenging the youths of today, but you are going to challenge the youths of tomorrow also. So with the motto, facilitate to elevate indigenous society for the promotion of English language and literature, is highly honored to have you on the platform of iSPELL. And this is a small token of gratitude filled with love to CP Belliappa sir, the writer on the platform of iSPELL for 110th E-Sunday Sahityak Satsang. Sir, kindly accept it. And this is not an honor to you, but we are honoring ourselves by presenting this certificate to you, sir. Please accept it, sir.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. Very kind of you.
And this certificate goes to Dr. Virendra Turkar, who is the convener of East Maharashtra Forum of iSPELL, which is really doing quite well. And he is the one who has promoted many of the people in East Maharashtra, and that's why we could form a very sound forum of iSPELL East Maharashtra with the help of Virendra Turkar. So Virendra Turkar, this certificate goes to you for doing the honors on the platform of iSPELL.
Sir, thank you. Thank you very much, sir.
This certificate goes to Dr. Archana Singh, who is the Master of Ceremonies on the 110th Sunday Sahityak Satsang, and she is also the convener of iSPELL Chhattisgarh Forum, which happens to be the first forum of iSPELL. And iSPELL Chhattisgarh Forum is also doing wonderfully well, because it's organizing various events on every Saturday, calling it as SIM, Sunday Intellectual Meeting, and with the help of which we are not only targeting the students and the fraternity, but at the same time we are reaching the unreached. So for doing the honors on the platform of iSPELL, please accept this certificate, Dr. Archana Singh.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
So this is 111th Sunday Sahityik Satsang. I have seen Dr. Kaveri, who has joined us for little. I think she was there in the beginning, and she was listening to CPB sir while he was speaking. And do join us on next Sunday with another topic, and the topic is literature and medicine and their relationship in today's context. So do join us with your students, fraternity members, and friends to promote iSPELL. The very motto of iSPELL: facilitate to elevate. Thank you very much. ತುಂಬಾ ಧನ್ಯವಾದಗಳು ಸರ್, ತಾವು ಬಂದಿದ್ದಕ್ಕೆ.
ಥ್ಯಾಂಕ್ ಯು. ನಿಮಗೂ ತುಂಬಾ ಧನ್ಯವಾದಗಳು.
Thank you, Dr. Ghanshyam. Now at the end, with utmost respect, I would like to invite the coordinator of the event, Dr. Puamma, to please propose the vote of thanks. Dr. Puamma, please.
Yeah, thank you. Let me first thank from the bottom of my heart the prime pillars of iSPELL and all the iSPELL regional forum leaders and members for their perennial contribution to keep the iSPELL platform ever burning bright and every Sunday. My sincere gratitude to each one of them. Our today's keynote speaker, CP Belliappa, an interesting writer who writes humor, history, and human interest stories, and is a regular contributor to newspapers, websites, and magazines. You should make an attempt to read his book on Victoria Gauramma. Very interesting. And if you're planning to spend your holiday in Coog, you must read his work, Nuggets from Coog History, which will help you see the beauty of Coog better, because Coog is known as the Scotland of India. So there are many more books that you can lay your hands on. So it gives me immense joy to thank Mr. CP Belliappa for accepting our invitation and then for presenting his wonderful views on the future of English in India. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you.
I wish to thank our IT coordinator, Mr. Pramod Dingle, sir, for meticulously coordinating the event without any technical hitch. Thank you, sir. I sincerely thank the Master of Ceremony, Dr. Archana Singh, and our chairman, Dr. Virendra Tharkar, for rounding off the event successfully. I thank all the participants and all the promoters of iSPELL for your altruistic contribution in enriching the literary audience. Thank you, one and all.